Okay, hey everyone. So in this Scratch tutorial, we are going to, sorry, I'm just going to close a few of my things up here so I can see what's going on. We are going to create a lunar lander game, and it's going to be using the if-then blocks. And it's not too complicated, but it's very, very busy. So what we'll do is we'll start first by we need to import our sprites and our backdrop. So the first, where I've put them is I put them in our Teams folder. Okay, and so what you need to do is go into Teams and go into Files. Okay, and you need to download. You can take a look at any one of these and see which one you like. Two of them are a little more realistic, and one is a little less realistic. I'm going to use this one right here. You can take a look and see what it looks like. That's the one. It's a little more cartoonish. I think I'm going to use that one. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to click on the dot, and I want to download. Okay, so I'm going to download it, and I'll show you where it goes once it's downloaded. And I need helicopter, which is this. So this is Mars helicopter backdrop. There's three of them here, and the one down farther is the Scratch helicopter sprite. Okay, we need that as well. So I'm going to unclick this one, and I'm going to click this one, and I'm going to download it. And depending on your device, it'll say, you know, downloading, or it might open a screen on the bottom. So it's done, it's downloaded. And so I'll show you where mine goes, and yours go probably in the same area. So if you go into your files in your computer, there's one spot here called downloads, right? And that's actually where everything you download usually goes to there or to documents. So if I click on downloads, there they are right there. There's the backdrop, and there's the Scratch helicopter. Okay. I don't need to worry about that too much. Usually when we put it into Scratch, Scratch will try to find that. Okay, so let's go back to Scratch now. And here we are. So first thing I want to do is I want my new backdrop. So I'm going to go way to the top where it says upload. Okay, and so it already goes to the downloads by default, but that's where usually they are. So you just need to click on the helicopter backdrop, press open, and it just pops up for us. Okay, and we're not really going to do anything with that right now. And now we also need a lander of some kind, right? Or a lander to use, and same sort of thing. So we go into, we've already downloaded it. So we go to the sprites, we press upload a sprite, and it's the Scratch helicopter, okay, that we just downloaded out of Teams. So we open that up, and there it is right there. It's not too big. We don't want it too big, right? You could make it a little bigger. Maybe we could go 150. Yeah, that's pretty good. And we are going to say adios to the cat, because I don't think there's any cats on Mars as far as we know. So it is gone. Now we need somewhere to land on. Okay, so we need another sprite, and it needs to be somewhere to land on. You can do two things. You can pick something that's kind of flat. So, you know, for fun, you could do something like, let's see, what's kind of flat? You could do a piece of bread, right? Or you could draw your own sprite. Let's do the bread just for fun. Okay, it looks kind of like a landing spot, landing pad. Could make it probably just a little bit bigger as well. But let's leave it like that, because then it'll be a little tougher to do. So now we have our helicopter and our landing spot, which is actually a piece of bread. So now we're going to do some programming, some coding for the helicopter. This is where most of the coding goes. So ideally what we want is we're going to use our arrow keys. So we're going to go up and down and right and left. And those are all controlled by up arrow, down arrow, right arrow, and left arrow. But this time, what we need those, we want it to always be pointing up. Okay, we want it to point up all the time when we press one of the keys. So so it's going to be an if then. Okay, that's what we're going to do, and it's going to all happen forever. All right, so let's go into the if then. Okay, we need one of those. All right, so if we press the up arrow, right? If we press the up arrow right here where it says key space pressed, right? So you drag it over. This is the sensing, and you put it right inside that piece right there. So if we press the up arrow, then something's going to happen, right? If we press the up arrow, then we want it to point up, right? We want it to always point up. If we press the up arrow, then we want it to hang on a second. Now I need to find this. I always have troubles finding this one. I don't know why. And we need it to point towards or point into the direction. Right? We want it to point in the direction, and we're going to give it a degree. So like this, and we want it to point. See this arrow right here? So when you click on the degrees, right? So when the up arrow is pressed, we want it to point in the direction, and this is the direction right now. All right, we want it to point in the direction 0. Okay, because we want it to go straight up like this. Okay, we don't want it to turn. We want it to just fly straight up. So that's done. And we don't want it to rotate, right? Because what's going to happen is if we just let it go like this, it will point in the direction that way, but then the front of this helicopter will actually rotate and go up. So we don't want this to rotate ever. We just want it to go straight up, straight across, straight that way, and straight down. So we need to say to it, don't rotate. Okay, we want it to, so set rotation. That's what you want to do. You want to set the rotation down here. We're still in the motions, right? And you want to set the rotation. Okay, and the rotation means this thing turning around. And you want to set it to don't rotate. We don't want it to turn at all. And we can just give it a standard, how many steps do we want to move each time we press the arrow key. Let's make it small. Let's do 10 steps. Okay, and so we're doing that. And that's one of them. Okay, and all of this happens all the time non-stop. Okay, for all the arrows, and everything else is basically the same as this, except for the degrees. Okay, so let's make another one. So let's right click, and we're going to duplicate it. We're going to bring it down here, another if then. Okay, so now this time we want to do the down arrow, right, down. So we're just duplicating to make it easier. And now when we go down, we want it to point down. Okay, so we want it to point down. Turn this all the way down to 180. So as soon as you click that number, this will pop up. Okay, but we don't want it to rotate though. We want it to go straight down. We don't want it to turn and aim down. We want it to not rotate. And we still want it to move 10 steps, so that's good. So let's do this again. All right, let's copy this one, duplicate. We'll bring it down, attach it. So if the arrow is pressed to the right, then it's going to go this way. Then we click on point in direction, and we want it to go this way, right? We want it to go to the right, where the arrow, see that arrow down at the bottom? We want it to go to the right. There it is. Perfect. Okay, and we don't want it to rotate, and we still want to go 10 steps. Okay, I'm going to lift this up a little bit. And let's do this one more because we have to do the left arrow still. So we want to duplicate it, put it down here. Now we want to do left arrow as a drop down menu. Left arrow, okay. And point in the direction left. I want to go this way now. So let's click on the degrees and see what it shows. Okay, so we want it to go all the way this way. We want it to aim and fly that way, right? Now it's going to fly that way when we use the left arrow key, okay? And it's still, don't rotate, and 10 steps. So these are the different degrees that we have it pointing. It's 0, right? Because this is always 0. And 180, 90, and -90. Okay, so we're good, right? Now, this all has to happen all the time, okay? So we have to put all of this in a forever loop. So let's drag it down a little. Let's go get a forever loop in the controls and put it at the top, and it will fit over top of all of that. I'm going to make this a little smaller so we can see what's going on. Okay, because you can, when you run out of room, you can actually use the plus and minus keys. Sometimes it's a little hard to see, but that's actually not too bad. So I'm going to bring this down, and we're going to do a flag to start. Okay, so actually if we press the green flag right now, right, so it's waiting. So if we can press our arrow keys, are up, there's down, there's left. Let me make that just a little bit bigger. Right, there's right, there's left, there's up, and there's down, and it does that forever. Okay, so there we go. So that's that part done. So now we need to say, let's see. So we need different things. We need a timer, and we need to keep score. Okay, so let's do the timer first. So we always want to start the timer at 0 whenever a new game is played. Okay, so we need a flag to start, right? And so it's another if then, right? Because if no, let's do that different. Let's okay, let's start with setting the timer. So but we need to make the timer and the score, because we don't have that. That doesn't exist. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So we need to actually have a timer and a score up here. So what we want is we want to set the timer to a certain time, and then we want it to change by 1, okay, each time. And it doesn't have an automatic clock, so we have to help it out. So first we need to make a variable, and it's really not that hard. You go down to variables, down here, right? And there's no such thing as a timer, so we have to make it, we have to create it. And all that means is you're just creating a little block. So if you go to make variable, right, just type in timer, T-I-M-E-R. Okay, and we want it for everyone, for everything. We press OK, and there it is. It just appears. Okay, and we use that in different spots, and I'll show you what I mean. So when the flag is clicked, we want to put 30 seconds on our timer. Okay, and right here it says set my variable to and a number. So let's drag that one over. And now when you click the drop down menu, it says, so see what's happened already when we created the timer? It showed up right on our screen. Now we want to set the timer, the one we just created. We want to set it to, let's say, 30. That should be long enough, I think. And that's when we click the flag, it's going to set to 30. Okay, so it's at the beginning. Now we want it to count down, right? And we want it to do this all the time. It will never stop counting down. So you need to have a forever loop right inside there. Okay, and we need to change the timer. So now we go back to our variables, right? And we want to change our timer by a certain number, because really all this reads is a number. It doesn't know that's seconds or or whatever, right? It just reads the number, and we have to tell it what to do. So we want it to change our timer. Okay, change our timer. So you drop down menu, timer, and we want to change it by 1, but we want it to count backward, count down from 30. So we need to change it by -1 each time. Okay, so it has to be -1. So you have to actually type in -1 in there, or -1. And so right now it doesn't really understand what we're talking about, okay? Because all it says is change the timer by -1. So right now it's just going to maybe go down to -29. Let's see what happens. So we press stop. See, this is what it's doing. It's kind of going a little crazy, right? Because it's saying, well, okay, just count down by -1 forever, until that number gets just monster. So stop. So we want to tell it to wait a second, right? Wait 1 second, then count. 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 Okay, so it goes 29, 28, 27. So it does that. So we want to go up to the controls, and we want to wait a second, right? So we want to wait a second, and then change our timer down. Okay, so it's not reset now. Now we have, so anyway, it's going to go like this. There we go. All right, set it to 30. See how it's counting down nicely? It's going 25, 24, 23. And right now, we're not telling it to stop anywhere. Okay, that's the next job. So now we have our timer set up. And this is your typical gaming timer, right? This is pretty much the same for a lot of different games. Now we need to say, when it gets down to 0, that's it. Game's over, right? Everything stops. And it's actually a lot easier than you think. So we need to, on the flag, right? We need to start the timing on the flag. And of course you need a forever loop because it's keeping track of everything forever, right? In terms of what's going on. And we need an if then, right? If something happens, then this is going to happen. Right there. Okay, going to go inside. So now if, when the timer goes down to 0, so if the timer goes down to 0, then we want to stop everything. Okay, so let's go to our sensing. If the no, sorry, it's operators, the green ones. So if our oh, sorry, I'm getting if our timer, so you need to use one of these, okay, where it has something, a space, equals, and there's a number. It just says 50, but we can change that because we're going to put the word timer in here. We're going to put our variable in there. So if we drag this one over, okay, drag it over, and it will fit inside that spot, all right? And now in here, what we want to do is we want to put our timer in there. And if you remember, we created that block right there. There's the timer, and it actually fits inside that spot. So we drag a timer block. So if the timer, let's say because we want to end the game when it's 0, right? If the timer equals 0, then what do we want to do? We want to stop everything. Everything stops, right? You can't move. Timer's at 0, and nothing happens anymore. So we want to stop everything. So when the timer equals 0, we want to stop all, right? And there are other options on here. You can stop this script, stop other scripts in Sprite. We want to stop it all. So that what that will do is that will stop everything. Okay. So now if we click on the flag, it'll count down, and we're moving. And we're moving along, moving along, moving along. And then once it counts down or gets to 0, then we won't be able to move anymore. I know we're using up a bit of time, but I want to do this. It's somewhat important. Okay, so 12, 11, 10. It's working well. Everything is doing okay. right? Moving around nicely, moving around. Yep, we're moving around. And stop. Everything stops. I can't move anymore. We're at 0. Nothing's going on. Okay, so that is perfect. That's exactly what we want to have happen. So so we're stopped anyway. Okay, so now we have our timer, and it's counting down, and everything stops at 0. Okay, and now we want to have a score, and basically you want to score 1 point every time you successfully land on the piece of bread, which actually we're calling a lander, or a space to land. We'll call it lander. Right, and so let's actually give our sprites a better name. So let's name this the helicopter. And let's call the bread lander. Okay, so let's go back to the helicopter. There we are. So now we want to do a score. We want to do points. And when you look in our variables, there is no such thing as score. Okay, so we have to create, like we did timer, we have to create a variable that's score. Okay, so let's score S-C-O-R-E, score. And if we press OK, there it is. And the check marks beside it just means that if it's checked, you see it, right? So if I uncheck it, then you don't see it, right? If I check it, then you see it, and we want to see it. Like everything else, we start on the flag, right? So we start on the flag. And so now, as soon as the flag starts, we have to make sure that the score is 0. Okay, we have to set our score to 0. So we go back down to the variables, and we want to set our score to 0, right? So let's bring it over. The flag's clicked, drop the menu down. We want to set our score to 0, right? Because when you get points, that's when you get more. And now this is the fun part. So once again, we're going to be doing, if then, right? If something happens, then something happens. That's typically what usually goes on. I'm not going to attach it yet. So if this touches this, we get a point. Okay, this touches this, we get a point. So if the helicopter, which that's what we're on right now, the helicopter touches the bread, okay, or lander as we call it, we change the score by 1. Okay, so touching, sensing, right? If right there we are touching, see, it has lander in there, right? Because that's what we called our other sprite. So we bring that over and we put it in there. And if you touch the lander, okay, then we're going to get a point. So then we change our score by 1. Okay, then we go to variables, then we change the variable by 1. And we can just say we want to change the score by 1. So every time we touch the lander with our helicopter, we're going to change the score up here by 1. Okay, and we can't just connect it yet because this has to be happening all the time, right? Non-stop. It's always watching to see if we touch the lander. So we have to do a forever loop. Okay, and then we attach it here. Okay, let's see what happens if we press. So the game is started, we move over, we touch. Oh my gosh, look at the score. It is going crazy because it only stops when we move away, right, from the lander. So somehow we have to tell it to just touch it and go. Okay, so we need to say, so we need to touch it, and then it's just going to go somewhere else. Just touch and go, touch and go, touch and go. Right, so touch, and then in between the score change, or the score going up by 1, we need to say, okay, go somewhere. So we need to go into motion, right? And we need to say, okay, you need to go somewhere, and we're just going to say go to a random spot. because yeah, it's a game, right? And so now when the helicopter touches the lander, right, then it's going to be sent to a random position, and then we're going to count by one, and then we're going to up the score by one. Okay, so let's see if that works. Flag's on, counting down, and if we go down here, see, it counted by one, and then it sent the lander somewhere random. Okay, we go down, count by, oh, there's another one, and it sent the lander somewhere else. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it's working. And it counted, so we're doing well. Okay, perfect. We're going to stop. Now, when this wouldn't be fun if the lander was always in the same spot. So we kind of want to maybe move it around to maybe 3 or 4 different places. Okay, maybe we can start here and then go over there and then back over here and then back over there. Okay, back over here, back over there. So what we need to do is, so right now we are sitting in the helicopter's code. Now we need to click on the lander, and we need to code it to move around. Okay, and so what you do is we're just going to send it different spots. That's all we're going to do. We're going to wait. Maybe we're going to give it what 5 seconds, and you can see how easy it is to change it when we put the code in. Okay, so let's start off with what we usually do when the flag is clicked, right? Because everything starts when the flag is clicked. So when the flag is clicked, let's say we're going to start it over here. When the flag is clicked, we want it to go to, this will be, let's say this is the starting point right there. Right there. Okay, so that is 148 and minus 110. Those are the XY coordinates. Okay, so now we do motion. Right, we want it to go to, and it's already on there. Right, so when the flag is clicked, we want it to go there because let's say this will always be the starting point. Okay, and then it begins. Okay, and then we are going to wait 5 seconds because that's what we said, right? We're going to wait 5 seconds. Wait 5 seconds, and then we want to send it somewhere else. Then we're going to send it over here. We can't do random because if we do random, then it could be up in the air, right? And you want it kind of on the ground. This is kind of the spot to land on the ground. So let's move it over here. And there's our new one, minus 52 and minus 107. That's the XY. So if we go to the motion and the same thing, go to, right? And it's already changed it for us, right? So, which is really nice. And after 5 seconds, we want it to go there. And then we want to go another, we want to wait another 5 seconds, right? Because you want time to be able to land on it. And then we want to go, let's say, maybe back to here. Okay, and it's already changed the XY for us. So if we go to motion, go to X and Y, it's already changed it. Yep, 75 minus 141. Okay, and then we want to wait again. Wait 5 seconds, and here we are. And let's do one more. Let's do maybe way over here. Okay, so this is minus 190 and minus 100. So let's go to motion again. And it should have already done it for us. Yes, it has. Minus 190, minus 100. Okay, so there are 3 kind of positions. They're not random because we chose them. Right? Now we want this to happen all the time. All the time the whole game is playing, right? So we just go forever. Right? Control, and we go forever. It's wrapped around. And now we click it on there. Okay. And if we press the flag, this will start over here, and then every 5 seconds it will change to one of those other spots, right, to these right here. And if we want to, we can even put a fourth position at the bottom, right? We can even bring this out, copy it, we'll duplicate it, and we'll put it down here, right? But we need to wait 5 seconds in there as well. Okay, that just gives us a fourth position, and then we'll put this back. Okay, so now when we click the flag, it'll go to this spot right here, and then wait 5 seconds, go here, wait 5 seconds, go here, wait 5, go here, wait 5, go here. So it'll just move around all the time. Okay, so it's actually doing it right now. So we're going to stop, we'll start again. So, here we go. It's running, and I'm going down. No, I didn't get any points, I got there too late. And touch it, I got my point. Oh, I gotta go chase it now. I touch it, got my point. Go down. Oh, gotta go over. See, so it's random. It's moving to, you know, all these different spots. Okay, so it's working very well. Now the only thing we have left to do is when the game begins. We're not quite sure where to put the helicopter. Okay, so easiest thing to do is just send it to a random spot. Okay, so we start with the flag, right? Because when it's clicked, we want to send it to a random position. So that is just a motion thing. We want it to go to a random position. There it is, right there. Okay, and yeah, this looks busy, but you know, this is pretty cool. The if then forever directions, and I believe our game is ready to play. So there. Now if we go down, got a point. Hey, no, got a point. Go back over. Got a point. Go over, down. Got a point. Alright, so there you go. So it's working fine. I got 4 points so far. I got 5. Oh, over here. And go back down again. Oh, didn't get it. Yeah, I got 8. I got 9. And that's it. Game's over. It stopped. Everything stopped. Right? Because of this right here. This one. Stop all. Okay, so there is how you make your helicopter landing game. Okay, and I hope you have fun. And when you run into troubles, just stop and take a look what's going on and just follow the instructions. And then you can actually make it much harder by moving less steps, and then you can make it harder by when you go to the lander code waiting 4 seconds instead, or 3 seconds and moving. Okay, that makes it really hard. So have fun.